Welcome to this special edition of TOEFLmasters.com's TOEFL Minute. Right now we have an extended edition because we want to go in depth to talk about speaking sections, question 1. This is a question that a lot of our students have had difficulty with over the years, and their biggest complaints: how do I score well, and how do I do it in enough time? You only have 15 seconds to prepare for this question, and that scares a lot of students. So William, the TOEFL Master, is here to help us break this down, tell us how we get a 4 out of 4, how we do it in enough time, and all the different components to doing this well. So William?
Okay. First thing you need to know is that most students have trouble with the first 2 questions because you have to come up with the ideas yourself. Unlike the last 4 questions of the section that give you all the information, all you have to do is take notes and then repeat what you read or what you heard. This one you have to think about what you're going to say. They will ask you a common question such as, describe your favorite book and explain why it's important to you, or what is your favorite food and why is it your favorite, or if there's a place you can go on vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? So these are questions that students think about. What's my favorite book? Or what's my favorite food? Or where's my favorite place I'd like to vacation?
And that time is a killer, because that takes away from what you're actually doing to take notes and prepare your answer.
You have 15 seconds to prepare. Don't look back at your life and think, what's really my favorite book? Don't think about what your real favorite food is. Don't think about where you'd really like to go on vacation. Think about something that you know that's quick. What was the last book you read? Something you can remember. You're going to speak about something familiar to you. If you're going to talk about your vacation, think about some place you've been to 5 or 10 times that you know something about, right? The test graders don't know that you've never been there, and they don't care. They only know that you followed the rules or you didn't, all right? So the first thing you're going to do is talk about something that you're familiar with. Speaking of the rules, many students are really worried about getting to that 4, right? To that 4. How do they get that 4? They try to speak much better than they really can. So students try to speak above their level, and it's not possible to speak above your level. So what do? They go, and they think you do not know how to speak above your level, so it's not possible. You're better to speak well within your level. Sure. In fact, you can have a limited level of grammar, but speak using the structure they give you and reach a higher score.
Sure.
Than you can trying to speak at a fancy level and score really low.
Especially if you don't know the fancy words.
Exactly.
How are you going to remember it? How are you going to put it together in the correct
It's not possible. Yeah. So here's how we do it in our class. First of all, you have to know the rules. Everything on the TOEFL test is based on rules. The rules for the speaking section are: you must answer the question. You must speak clearly with no long pauses or extra words interjected like or You must have appropriate examples and details, or relevant examples and details. You must have connection words and phrases like however, furthermore, one reason, for example. Sure. And you have to have proper grammar and vocabulary. You can make some mistakes in your vocabulary. You can make some mistakes in your grammar.
You can have an accent too.
You can have an accent. Sure. As long as the graders understand what you're trying to say, you'll do well. A score of 0 is reserved for people who don't answer the question, or speak in a foreign language, as any language other than English. Simply don't answer the question at all, or only repeat the prompt.
Sure.
Barring that, if you give some kind of answer, if you give some kind of attempt, you're going to get some kind of score, 1 to 4.
So what you're really saying is students start at a 4, and then the mistakes they make bring them down.
That's correct. If you start, you always start at a 4.
Start at a 4.
As long as you maintain those things, answering the question, speaking clearly, you can stutter, make some mistakes, but as long as we understand the words you're saying, you're speaking clearly. No long pause or extra words interjected. In order to have no long pause or extra words interjected, think about your sentence first, and then say it.
Think, then speak.
Yes, we have long pauses because we go, my favorite book is, but if you say, my favorite book is Jonathan Livingston Seagull, stop. In other words, simple sentences, right? Make your sentence, make an idea, and stop. Connection phrase, statement, stop. Connection phrase to the next thing. Break your questions into pieces. If you really want to get a high score, break your question into pieces. This says, describe your favorite book.
It's part 1.
That's part 1. And explain why it's important to you.
It's part 2.
That's part 2, right? Use reasons and details to support your response. Let's talk about what it takes to answer this question. I have 15 seconds to prepare. Not a lot of time.
Sure.
Students always ask me, how can I get more time? And I tell them, well, you know, I could call up the proctor and say, hey, give my students extra time.
It's probably not going to work, though.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, the proctor has nothing to do with it. It's on the internet. Here's the thing. When you see this question on your test, it'll be on the screen of your computer. Then someone will read the question, and they're going to read it like this. Describe your favorite book and explain why it is important to you. Use reasons and details to support your response. You have 15 seconds to prepare your response. Begin preparing after the beep. Beep!
Now the clock comes and 15 seconds counts down.
That's correct. So the good news is, if you can read and understand the question before the person on the test is reading the question, and before they tell you to take your notes, that gives you an extra 5 to 7 seconds to take notes.
Already pick your favorite book and begin writing.
Now, taking notes is not difficult when you do it the TOEFL Master way. Most people want to write out full sentences. They want to write out what they're going to say. There's no way you have time in 15 seconds. So this is what we're going to do. My favorite book is Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So what I'm going to put, J-L-S, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Don't write it out. We don't have time for that. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's my favorite book. Describe my favorite book. I don't need to write down the description because I know what it's about. So I don't write that down. And explain why it's important to me. It's important to me because it teaches me perseverance. P-E-R-S. I don't write out perseverance because 2 things. I don't know how to spell perseverance, and I don't want to waste time trying to figure it out. So I write down pers. I know it means perseverance. Okay?
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And it teaches me life lessons. Life lessons. So for my notes, I have Jonathan Livingston Seagull, perseverance, and life lessons. Then I answer my question. Describe my favorite book. My favorite book is Jonathan Livingston Seagull because, right, or Jonathan Livingston Seagull, it is a book about, and I give my description. Stop. And then my next part. Why is it important to you? One reason it's important to me is because it teaches me about perseverance. What I mean by that is, in the book, Jonathan, the seagull, is always trying to do something that's very difficult for him. And he makes a lot of mistakes. He tries to fly very fast and he crashes. I mean, it's catastrophic mistakes that he makes. But he gets up and tries again until he's able to do the things that he wants to. It teaches me about life because in the book, Jonathan's friends and family are always trying to discourage him. Always telling him, not really to discourage him, but say, why don't you come and be with us? Why can't you be like us? Why can't you be normal like the rest of us? When he wants to do things like go to university. Do things that are very difficult that many people don't do. Right? As far as the world goes, it's a very small percentage of people that actually go to university to become that top 10% of the people that run everything in the world.
Sure.
So you really want to take after Jonathan Livingston Seagull and do these things that are very difficult. The thing is that when you're answering this question, break it into pieces. Don't answer it globally. Answer it one piece at a time. Use your notes. When you're reading, something to say?
Well, answer it completely. Make sure that you answer both parts. Otherwise, you're going to lose points.
If you don't describe your book, you'll lose points. You must answer the question completely. If you don't explain why it's important to you, you'll lose points. So answer one piece at a time. When you're answering a question, when you're trying to use long sentences, it's very difficult to control your grammar. If you don't have very good grammar, especially make shorter sentences, use your connection words and phrases.
Keep things simple.
Keep it simple so you don't sound stupid. Use your connection words and phrases. Phrases like, for example, one reason is, you get extra points for having complex sentences. But a complex sentence doesn't mean you have to have fancy words or even very fancy sentences. For example, a sentence here can be that one reason that this book is important to me is that it teaches me about perseverance. In the book, Jonathan, the seagull, learned to fly faster than any other seagull. And even though he made a lot of mistakes and crashed, he eventually learned to fly very well.
It's complex.
Wow, that's a very complex sentence.
Sure.
But yet, all I did was just describe what happened in the book. Right?
Seems easy enough.
Keep it simple so you don't sound stupid. Right? Remember, think about the rules. Answer the question. Speak clearly. No long pauses, extra words interjected. Answer your question with relevant examples and details, connection words and phrases, proper grammar, and vocabulary. Proper vocabulary means using the right word. Okay? Perseverance. Right? Not perseverance. Not, right? So, using the right words. So, when you're answering this question, think about the question when you're reading it. Start taking your notes right away. Instead of looking at the people next to you for the answer, I can guarantee you they're going, they don't know what's going on. Take your notes like this. Look at your notes while you're reading. Believe it or not, while you're taking notes, all the things that are in your mind while you're writing this are going to be invisible on this page. So while you're looking at your notes, everything you were thinking while you wrote this down will come to you. So say what you have on your mind. Speak from 30 to 45 seconds. If you go over 45 seconds and you hear the beep, just stop and prepare for the next question. You do not lose points for going over the time. Okay? You do not lose points for going over the time. So stop, don't be nervous, just prepare for the next question. So, to cap, follow the rules. Follow the rules. Answer the question, speak clearly, no long pauses like use relevant examples and details, have connection words and phrases, proper grammar, and vocabulary. Answer the question one piece at a time, using your notes.
That sounds great. Hopefully that helped. For more tips, great tricks, and all sorts of advice, go to TOEFLmaster.com. Also find us on Facebook. Thank you.